Hello and welcome to the instructional video on the brand new 2021 Burstner Eliseo C641 panel van. So we'll walk around the outside, start around the controls on the outside, and then we'll work our way on towards the controls on the inside. So starting with the cab. So first things first, the bonnet catch on these is just here. So I'll release that. Just while we're here at the front, the tyre pressures are displayed on this pillar here. It is worth checking the tyres themselves, as some of them use reinforced sidewalls. Just on the cab controls, these blinds are drawn together by pinching these two things together here, and then you pull across like that. They're magnetically attached. That's the same on the front. So you draw those together, and there's a magnet which holds the front blinds together so the opposing side has got a magnetic strip across here, and that's how they stay together on the inside. So to release the bonnet, it's a catch underneath here once you pull the lever on the side of the dash. So under the cab you've got coolant, brake fluid, your oil filler, dipstick. If you ever need to jump start these vehicles, there is a method of doing so. You need to connect the positive tab onto this catch here, so the positive goes onto that terminal there, and the earth goes onto this terminal here. There is a separate video for the cab controls which I'll include in the description of this particular video. So on the passenger side, we'll walk around the outside and just show you the various controls on the outside. So the obvious one is the mains circuit. So this is where the mains supply comes in for the vehicle. So I've connected a mains supply to it. To release it, you press that button down there. And to connect it, you're pushing this handle up here, pushing it in like that. So the next one along is the waste water drain, and there's an indication inside to tell you when that is full. If you turn it anti-clockwise, that releases the waste water out of the vehicle. Turn it clockwise, that closes the valve, and this is a separate handle which is stored away in the book packing instruction manuals. Above that is the toilet compartment, so this is where all the toilet waste is deposited. It's a standard cassette toilet system, so you pull this tab up here, pull the cassette out, which then would be full of toilet waste. There's an indication inside to tell you when that is full. Pull the nozzle, take the cap off the end, and pour away the toilet waste. As you're doing so, press this button in here, that lets air in as liquid is coming out. This requires a chemical. To put the chemical in, you're turning this valve around here, which opens and closes this blade. So you pour the desired amount of chemical into there, put a little bit of water in the bottom, and then the toilet cassette is ready to use once you've swilled it out, and it's ready to use again. To get this back into the vehicle, you need to have that in that position, otherwise it won't slide into the mechanism that attaches to the toilet. To put this back in, you just one noteworthy thing, it's actually on wheels, this, so it's got a handle. So it's got a handle that pulls up from the bottom there, and then it allows you to wheel it to the waste disposal point. So to put it back in, you just put the wheels onto the platform there, and slide it back in. As we work our way towards the back end of the vehicle, at the back here we've got the gas locker. So it'll take two 3 kilogram bottles. The waste, the pigtail that comes off that regulator, so it's an inline regulator, it's missing, but there's one in the pack, so I will attach that for the customer before they arrive. And then the 3.5 kilogram propane bottles are fixed via these tabs here, so they're fixed in position. There's one there and one there. To release the doors, if you want to open them fully, you just press that button here, and that allows you to open the doors right the way round. So they fix in position like that. If you want to open them fully, press that button and it opens the doors fully. So this model, you can see at the back here, is a 2 single bed arrangement. You can make one big double bed. That's done by folding this flap up here and bridging the gap between the 2 beds. But at the moment it's set up in a 2 single bed arrangement. The winder for the awning that's fitted is just housed there. So there's a separate video for awnings, which again I will see if I can put in the description for this video, but it is listed on our YouTube channel. This customer has asked us to fit a spare wheel and carrier. That requires this toolkit, and this tool in particular, which is put into this winder here, which is just underneath the vehicle. So that goes into that winder there. The rest of the toolkit is attached to the end of this, and that allows you to wind down the spare wheel. Okay, so as we come to the sliding door on the side of the vehicle, it gives you entrance to the main vehicle. We've got the step switch, which is just here. So that's an electric step switch. As we enter the van here, we've got a main socket, light switch. This pops up here to give you extra worktop space, and it's released with that catch just on the end there. Okay, so now we're in the vehicle. Just starting with the main controls, we'll work our way from the front to the back. This has got captain's swivel seats. So the way that they're released is to give a pull on that lever there. That allows you to swivel the seat around. You may need to come forward and back a few times in order to get it to go all the way around. So that's both seats swivel around there. Okay, so the table in this dinette area, it can be removed. You do that by lifting this up and then lifting those catches off that rail there. So you do need to lift it up like this and then lift the table itself off that catch. And then if you the table leg will actually come off there. So the table leg will come off at the top there, so it's detachable at the top and halfway down. It just means that you can store away this leg easily if it's in 2 sections, and obviously the table then will store flat. It's got a leaf section on it. You just pull that tab down and that allows this leaf to slide out here. So if you're sitting in the driver's seat, as I am now, you've got access to a tabletop. Okay, so above the sliding door as you enter the vehicle is the main control panel. This is the controls for the boiler. Okay, so you operating this by pressing on this dial here, and that illuminates the control panel. So you can see you've got the flashing light there. The first one is temperature for the motorhome. So press the button again and it says it's off. So if you slide this dial around, so let's say we wanted to select 22 degrees, push the button and that sets your temperature in at 22 degrees. You scroll through again, so you've got a picture of the next symbol flashing there. That's your water temperature. So at the moment it's off. So you've got eco at 40 degrees, hot at 60 degrees, boost, which will take the power from the heating of the vehicle and boost the hot water. So you won't be able to heat the vehicle while that's in the boost position. I wouldn't recommend that you switch that on unless you know there's water in your boiler. Otherwise you're heating just thin air in the boiler, which isn't good for the boiler. So the next one along is you can see there it's got a picture of a bottle and main supply. So that is your fuel setting. So on this one, it uses the fuel for the vehicle, from the vehicle. Next one along is mix, so it's using the mix of the fuel and 1 kilowatt of electric. Next one along is mix 2, so it's using the mix of the fuel and 2 kilowatt electric. Electric only on 1 kilowatt, electric only on 2 kilowatt. You can adjust the fan speed, but you can see here that the fan's adjusted to the ferocity that it needs to run at for the temperature that we've already set. You can just set this to so you can adjust the fan speed, so you've got eco or high, but the fan will run at a speed that is relevant to the temperature you've set, as I said. So the next one along, you can set your start time for the heater and finish time as well. If you're coming out of these menus, you press this back button here. That allows you to set your time. So it is 1:55. I'll set that for you now. 1:55. So that's your time set. Next one along is settings. It may be necessary at some point to reset this boiler system. If your fuel runs out or your electric supply is disconnected, sometimes it comes up with an error code on this digital display. If that's the case, scroll along so you've got the picture of the spanner. Scroll along to the reset section, press that reset, and it'll come up with a display that says initializing. Press it again, and then it will run through a reset process. Okay, but then you've got to wait 20 minutes to actually use the boiler again and the heating system. So that's the heating controls. Obviously there's a manual in there to explain all that. The main control panel for the vehicle is this one here. So we're switching the whole 12-volt system on and off with that press there. So you won't get any lights, the pump, etc, etc, won't work without that switched on. This is an indication to tell us that we've got main supply coming into the vehicle. Okay, so this one here is telling us about our leisure battery. So you've got a picture of a motorhome with the battery in the back. That's your leisure battery. Okay, so we're in good condition there. This is your fresh water situation. So if you press that, we've got 75% water in the vehicle at the moment. Press this here, that's your wastewater situation. So we've just emptied that, so there's actually no wastewater in it at the moment. So that's the main control panel for the vehicle. Okay, so we've dealt with the controls for the boiler, and just on the other side of the entrance door is your dinette here. This, if you take that cushion off, there's an access hatch here. It's just really access to the boiler. Shouldn't really need to do anything with that. But this hatch on the end here, there are some things that we need to show you. Okay, so from the top down, this is the main circuit breaker here, like a domestic circuit breaker that you would have at home. They're all in the up position, so they're all operational, haven't tripped. So if you get a problem with your main circuit, then this is the first place to check. They would be then in the down position. You can test that you've got a main supply coming into the vehicle by pressing that test button, which is just there, and then that will flick these down so that then you know you've got a main supply coming into the vehicle. Next one down is the boiler drain valve. That's now in the closed position. So this what it does is it'll sense if the temperature reaches 6 degrees and the boiler isn't switched on, it will automatically drop all the water out of the boiler to for safety reasons, so that it protects the boiler against frost damage. So that's in the closed position. This dial here turns, so that's now draining all the water out of the boiler. Okay, so that's now closed. You also have to press this button in here, which resets the thermostat on it. So that's in the operational position, closed with that button pressed in. Moving on from that control on the side, the controls on the side there, there's also a further drain down system, which is these two tabs here. They are in the closed position. If I was to, this will drain down the remaining water from the boiler and all the pipe work in the system. So they're closed in the operational position. If I pull those up, it's draining all the water out of the pipes. So for winterization purposes, you need to firstly that blue valve that we just talked about, make sure that's open. Also, these are open, and so open is in the up position, not horizontal like they are now. Just above the dinette here, we've got the Burstner home lights. These are electric candles that are recharged on these ports here. So they're switched on individually. So they're just like electric candles that you can have on the table. You can move those around. And they sit magnetically onto those recharging points there. So they're like down lights. They can be extended like that, just to adjust positions, so you can still put them on when they're in that extended position. Hob, dead straightforward. You've got two rings with your igniter just there. So working our way along towards the bathroom. The toilet is flushed via this button here, and then that valve is connected to the drain valve, which I showed you on the top of the toilet. So that slides side to side. That opens up the blade, which I showed you on the toilet cassette. So in order to use the toilet, slide that across, open it up, use the toilet, and then press your flush button, and the flush comes from that nozzle just there. And then close that back up before you travel, otherwise you'll get the chemical flushing and swilling around in the bottom of the bowl. The shower head does come off, but it's probably advisable to just use it in your hand. It will come off and can be placed into this holder here. So as we make our way towards the back then, this bed here on the driver's side can be lifted up and stowed away via this catch here. So this is the bed base, lifts up, hinges up, and sits into that little catch there. To release that, you're just pushing that in, and then that lets this bed fall down here. And then that obviously gives you a two single bed arrangement, as we saw from the back door. There is a little divider here that can be slotted in and out. If you're storing things in here, it just stops them sliding about into the front of the vehicle. In order to make one large double, when this bed on this side, which is the driver's side, folds down, there's a piece that extends and bridges the gap with some legs that go down into that and are supported at the bottom. And then fold that bed down on this side. So you fold the bed down on that side, use the cushion for the middle bit, and then there's another infill that goes into that bit to make it into one big double rather than two singles. So I'll just show you this bed from the back. You can see that there's a hinge here. So this supporting leg is designed to go down the middle to take the weight of this leaf that comes over and sits in between this mattress here to give you the big double bed. So I've lifted the bed back up on the driver's side here. There's the water tank is housed underneath this on the driver's side. I forgot to mention that the water tank is filled on the outside of the vehicle. There's a filler cap on the back, very back corner on the driver's side. That's where the water is filled up. So this is the water tank itself. Okay, so this can be drained down as it's marked here. So it'll carry 100 litres. you can drain this down to just 20 litres, and then you know that you're carrying water, but not 100 litres, which is 100 kilos of water. You've only got 20 litres, which is 20 kilos. Okay, so if you turn the valve that way, it'll drain down to 20 litres. Turn the valve the other way, it'll drain down fully. You've got access to this tank here if you ever need to sanitize it. Just need to make sure that cap is on correctly, otherwise when you fill up the water tank from outside, as you fill it, it will pressurize and you'll get water leaking out of the top here. Sorry, just to come back to this, if you empty this tank, it'll only empty to 20 litres. What you then need to do is switch on your taps, pump the remaining water out and open up all the drain valves in the vehicle. Some of these you can open them one way and they'll open up and drain down to 20 litres. This doesn't, it just drains the tank. So there's 100 litre capacity. When you've drained that valve down by opening it that way, you've still got 20 litres of water in your tank, which needs to be drained down via the taps and those valves that we showed you in the floor. Finally, the fridge control. So this is a compressor fridge with a freezer box. It's switched on via touch control, so switching on and off is that there. You want to select the temperature you want to set it to. So if it's really hot outside, then you want the fridge to work harder. Keep your finger on this button here and it'll allow you to adjust the temperature there. There's also a night mode operation, so it'll set it to the lowest noise level for when you're sleeping. That concludes the instructional video for today. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them before you collect, or I'll be happy to answer those on the day that you collect. So I'll be looking forward to seeing you on the day of collection.